The night my mother shoved a trash bag into my hands and told me to get out still. Echoes in my bones. But that wasn't the real betrayal. The real betrayal came later in the quiet of my apartment when my phone lit up with 30 missed calls and a message from my father demanding the mortgage payment I used to cover. I opened my banking app, expecting a mistake, but instead found missing payments, forged signatures, and money funneled to an unknown recipient I suspected wasn't unknown at all. And just when I thought I'd seen it all, a message from our old neighbor revealed a secret my family had been hiding for years. Before I go any further, tell me where you're watching from. And hit like and subscribe if you've ever been betrayed by the people you were taught to trust the most. What happened to me wasn't just family drama. It was a pattern years in the making, hidden under excuses and guilt. And the part you're about to hear is where everything finally comes into focus. People say childhood memories blur with time. Mine never did. They stayed sharp like glass buried under sand, quiet, easy to forget until you step on them. When I think about my family, the first image isn't warmth. It's the TV blaring in our cramped living room, the smell of overcooked food drifting from the kitchen, and my mother's voice snapping, "Jason needs it more, Harper. Don't be selfish." I was 14 when that sentence stopped sounding strange. That night, she scraped the last of the mashed potatoes onto my brother's plate while he mashed buttons on a controller, eyes glued to the flashing screen. I'd spent the whole day juggling school, babysitting, and homework waiting for me later. I wasn't expecting a parade, just fairness, but fairness didn't exist in our house. I swallowed the sting the way I always did and told myself not to make things harder. I didn't know then how deeply that moment would echo. By 15, the pattern became undeniable. I won a regional math competition, first place, something I worked on for months. I walked into the kitchen holding the trophy still warm from the auditorium lights. Mom didn't even turn her head. Instead, she pulled Jason into a picture because he'd managed a B- in English. "He worked so hard," she said proudly, smoothing his hair. I stood by the sink, letting the fluorescent light buzz above me, the trophy cold in my hands. I told myself it didn't matter, but that lie left a mark deeper than I expected. At 18, the scholarship letter arrived, a full ride to a university across the country. I should have been excited, relieved, proud. Instead, Mom frowned like I'd brought home bad news. "Why so far?" she demanded. "Your brother still needs guidance." Gregory nodded the way he always did when agreeing with her was easier than thinking. "Family comes first. Choose something local. You'll understand one day." I didn't understand, but I folded the letter anyway. I told myself staying close made me a good daughter. I couldn't see then that I had just stepped into a role they'd been shaping for years. College was supposed to be freedom, but mine turned into responsibility. While other students slept in or partied, I worked 2 jobs, waitressing and tutoring. Mom called whenever something urgent happened. Groceries, gas, bills, Jason's latest future project. Sometimes it was $20. Sometimes it was my entire paycheck. When I found out Jason used $450 I sent for utilities to buy a new console, Mom defended him instantly. "He's trying, Harper. Why are you so critical?" I bit my tongue so hard it hurt. I didn't realize it then, but they weren't just leaning on me, they were training me, grooming me into the responsible one, the problem solver, the financial net stretched under every mistake they made. At 21, Gregory lost his job for a few months. The house felt heavy, quiet, TV, cold dinners, short tempers. I stepped in without being asked. Rent, groceries, gas, it all became mine. I waited for gratitude, a thank you, anything. All I got was more need. One night I walked in and saw a brand new microphone and lighting setup in the living room, equipment far nicer than anything I owned. Jason grinned and said, "It's an investment." I didn't argue, I didn't cry, I just felt something small inside me chip away. And I didn't know it then, but chip by chip I was being hollowed out. By 24, I finally stepped into what I thought was adulthood on my own terms, my first real job in a glass high-rise downtown. The office buzzed with ambition. Even the air smelled like burnt coffee and pressure. I should have felt proud. Instead, the moment my first paycheck cleared, Mom called with a soft, trembling voice she used only when she wanted something. "Harper, sweetheart, could you cover the electric bill? Your dad's hours were cut again." A week later, "We're short on groceries. Just until things settle. Then Jason needs new equipment. He's so close. This could change everything." That was the script. I didn't question it. Not yet. I wired money, returned to work, and told myself I was helping my family. I didn't realize I was becoming the only functioning pillar holding up a house that refused to stand on its own. Around this time, I moved into my first studio apartment. It was tiny, barely enough room for a bed and a narrow kitchenette. But the silence felt like a luxury hotel. I remember lying on the floor the first night, listening to nothing. No yelling, no guilt, no footsteps pacing the hallway. just quiet. But the calls didn't stop. Some nights during my 15-minute meal break at work, I'd check my phone and find 6 missed calls and 3 voicemails, all urgent. My coworker Maya noticed. "You flinch every time your phone buzzes," she said quietly one evening. "It's just family drama," I muttered. She shook her head. "Family drama doesn't make people look hunted." Her words hit harder than I wanted to admit. The more I helped, the more they leaned. When Gregory picked up extra shifts, Mom called it stressful for him. When Jason failed to get a part-time job, she called it bad luck. Every excuse became another rope tying me closer. But the first real crack appeared on a late summer evening. I'd stopped by the house with groceries, trying like always to keep things from falling apart, when I noticed Jason surrounded by equipment far nicer than anything I could afford. A new mic, camera, monitors, all wired together like a studio. "Where'd this come from?" I asked. "Business investment," he said without looking at me. Mom added sharply, "He's finally building something. Don't ruin it." I felt something cold settle in my stomach. My money wasn't going where they claimed. But that was just the beginning. A week later, I searched the hallway closet for a space heater and found a thick envelope with my name printed on the front. Inside, a loan application with my credit score perfect untouched, and a falsified signature that looked nothing like mine. Gregory's handwriting wasn't even disguised. My hands shook as I held the papers. When I confronted him that weekend, he didn't flinch. "We're family," he said calmly. "Your credit is better." It made sense. "Dad," I whispered, "you forged my signature." He shrugged like I was overreacting. "Don't be dramatic. It's already done." That was the moment something vital shifted inside me. Not rage, not heartbreak, something colder, cleaner. I realized my family didn't see me as a daughter. They saw me as a utility, and the months that followed were a blur of bills, demands, guilt, and silence, until the night Mom shoved a trash bag into my arms and told me to get out. I walked away thinking the worst was over. I had no idea the real truth hadn't even begun to surface. The months before everything exploded didn't unravel slowly. They snapped one clean break after another. It started at work. I was heating up a small frozen dinner in the pantry when my phone rang 4 times in a row. Maya glanced at me, brows raised. I didn't want to answer, but ignoring them always triggered a bigger storm later. I stepped into the hallway and picked up. Linda didn't even breathe first. "Harper, we're out of groceries again, and your father forgot the power bill. Jason needs a new capture card too. His channel is finally getting traction." "Mom," I said, keeping my voice even, "I literally paid for groceries last week." "That was last week." She snapped as if that explained everything. "And Jason," I asked, "why can't he buy his own gear?" Her tone sharpened instantly. "He's working. He's building something. Why can't you support him?" The call ended the way it always did, with me paying and her hanging up like I owed her silence. When I walked back inside, Maya watched me carefully. "That didn't sound normal," she said. "It's fine," I muttered. But the lie tasted bitter. A week later came the grocery store parking lot incident. I'd stopped by with essentials, trying stupidly to prevent another meltdown. Gregory and Jason sat in the car, AC blasting music loud enough to shake the windows. Jason didn't even look up when I opened the trunk. Gregory called out, "Grab some soda too." Jason's craving it. I carried everything inside alone. No thanks. No hello. Just Linda waving a receipt dramatically as if inflation were a personal attack against her. "It's like the whole world wants us to fail," she sighed. "Us." The word hit me wrong. I was doing the heavy lifting, but somehow they were the victims. That same week, HR called me in. My manager shut the office door gently. "Harper, you've taken several emergency half-days. You're excellent at your job, but it's affecting your performance. Are things okay at home?" My stomach dropped. Losing my job wasn't an option, not after everything I'd given up. I forced a smile and lied. "Things are fine." She nodded, but her eyes said she didn't believe a word. By the time I got to my car, my chest felt tight, the kind of tightness that warns you something is breaking quietly, but undeniably. My phone buzzed again. Linda's name lit up the screen. I declined the call so fast it stung my thumb. But the real blow came a few days later. Gregory called with a tone I'd never heard from him before, urgent, controlled, rehearsed. "We need your help," he said. "With what?" He hesitated. "The bank contacted us. The mortgage payment didn't go through." I froze. "I paid it. It wasn't enough." "That's not how mortgages work," I said sharply. "What happened?" Silence. "Then your mother refinanced the house." My stomach dropped. "When it doesn't matter," he snapped. "What matters is we're drowning." There it was again, the word they used when they wanted money fast. But something was off. Very off. That night, I opened my banking app. I went through every transfer. Grocery payments, utility payments, mortgage payments, and then it appeared. The unknown recipient. A withdrawal every month. Small at first, larger later. Not a company. Not a bill. Not anything I recognized. And deep down, I already knew who it was. Jason. The next weekend, I went to the house to confront them. I expected denial. I expected excuses. I didn't expect what came next. But I should have. Because that confrontation was the spark that ignited everything. By the time I pulled into the driveway that weekend, I wasn't angry. I was composed. Too composed. That kind of calm that comes right before something finally breaks. Linda opened the door with red-rimmed eyes, her victim mode look. Jason was sprawled on the couch, headset on, yelling into a mic. Gregory lingered by the dining table, pretending to read the newspaper. I didn't sit. I didn't soften my voice. I went straight to it. Where's the refinancing paperwork? Linda blinked hard. What are you talking about? Don't act confused, I said. The house was refinanced. When Gregory stood slowly. Harper, calm down. No, answer me. He hesitated just long enough to confirm the truth. Linda stepped in, voice sharp. It's none of your business. My laugh was short and cold. It became my business the moment you used my money to cover the mess. Jason paused his game, finally turning. God, here we go. I faced him. You've been taking money out of my mortgage payments. His jaw tightened. So what, you always help. There it was. Entitlement unfiltered. Jason, I said, what did you spend it on? My setup, he snapped. My channel. Real investment. Something you clearly don't understand. And Mom let you, I asked, turning to Linda, her chin lifted. He's building a future. Why would we crush his momentum? My voice lowered. By stealing from me, Linda's eyes flashed. Don't use that word, you're being dramatic. Gregory crossed his arms. Harper, we've done our best. But you've always been the one who could handle responsibility. That's not a compliment, I said. That's a job you assigned me without asking. The tension rose tight, suffocating, but I didn't back down. You forged my signature, I said quietly, looking directly at Gregory. He stiffened. I don't bother lying, I found the papers. Linda hissed. Don't talk to your father like that. He's not acting like one. Jason muttered under his breath. Ungrateful, that word snapped something in me. Ungrateful, I repeated. I've paid your bills since I was 19. Rent, groceries, repairs, everything. And all I get is more demands. Linda stepped closer, her voice rising. We sacrificed everything for you. No, I cut sharply. You sacrificed nothing. You just found the easiest person to drain, her face twisted, anger mixing with panic. She grabbed the nearest trash bag, shoved it into my arms, and spat the sentence she knew would cut deepest. If you think you're too good for us, get out. Don't ever come back. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I walked out without looking back. But what none of them understood was this. You can only push someone into a corner for so long before they stop trying to escape and start preparing to strike. For 6 months I lived in silence. Not peace exactly, but distance. Enough to breathe. Enough to remember that I existed outside their orbit. Then the message came. Then the missed calls. Then the demand. Why didn't you cover the mortgage this month? And suddenly every lie, every manipulation, every stolen dollar sharpened into something clean and undeniable. They hadn't reached out because they cared. They reached out because their safety net had finally snapped. And they had no idea I wasn't the girl with the trash bag anymore. I was the woman who had nothing left to lose. The night everything cracked open didn't arrive with a fight. It arrived with a vibration, one short buzz, then another, then a cascade so relentless my entire phone shook across the table. Gregory, Linda, Jason, call after call stacking on top of each other like a warning siren. I let it ring until the noise stopped. Then a single message appeared from Gregory. Why didn't you cover the mortgage this month? No greeting, no concern, just the same tone he used when asking me to grab milk on the way home. A slow, humorless laugh slipped out of me. 6 months of silence broken not by remorse but by a bill. I opened the message, stared at it, then opened my banking app. I scrolled through my payments, mortgage, utilities, groceries lines I'd memorized from years of being their accountant. Then I saw it again. The missing deposits, the gaps, the withdrawals marked unknown recipient. And instead of shock, clarity hit me like cold water. The phone started buzzing again. Fine, I answered. Gregory's voice burst through the speaker. Harper. Finally. Do you understand how serious this is? Not yet, I said. But go ahead. He inhaled like he was preparing for a performance. We're behind. The bank called. We can't afford another missed payment. You should have paid it this month. I should have. My voice stayed level, almost quiet. Why? You know your mother and I can't cover it. Jason is. Still doing nothing. I cut in. Still chasing a channel that hasn't made a dime. Still sitting in a living room I'm apparently supposed to pay for silence. The kind that confirms the truth. Gregory snapped, "Don't disrespect your brother." "Funny," I murmured. "That's what Mom said the night she threw me out." Linda suddenly grabbed another phone and jumped in, voice sharp and frantic. "We were upset. Families say things they don't mean. You meant it enough." I said, steady and cold, to shove me out with a trash bag and never check if I made it home. "You're being dramatic," she hissed. "And you're being manipulative." That landed hard. Then Jason's call came through. I hung up on my parents mid-sentence and answered him. He didn't bother hiding the anger. "What the hell is wrong with you? Mom's crying. Dad's losing it. Why would you say that to them?" "Which part?" I asked. "The part where I said I wasn't welcome, or the part where I stopped paying your bills? You know they can't afford the mortgage without you." And, again, "Why is that my problem?" "Because you're the responsible one," he shouted. There it was. Their truth. My role. The script I never agreed to. I smiled, a cold, almost weightless thing. Not anymore. He cursed, but I ended the call mid-sentence. Then I called the house back and put it on speaker. They answered instantly, voices overlapping, frantic. "Stop," I said. And they did. "Now listen." I told them everything: the forged signature, the refinance, the stolen payments. Every fact, every number, every lie they thought I'd never trace. They tried interrupting. Excuses, tears, blame. I talked right through them. And when it was over, I delivered the line that ended the old version of me. "I'm done paying for your choices. Handle your own mess." Then I hung up. Not out of anger, out of freedom. The calls didn't stop after that night. They just changed tone. The fury burned out, first short, explosive messages from Jason blaming me for everything. Then came the guilt-laced paragraphs from Linda, switching between "we didn't mean it" and "you owe us." Gregory followed with stiff, rational texts about family responsibility. I didn't answer a single one. Silence became my boundary, clean sharp. Impossible for them to twist. 3 nights later, while rain tapped against my window, I finally opened the message I had ignored during the chaos, Mrs. Dalton's text. "Sweetheart, I think there's something you should know about your mom. She came to me 2 years ago asking for help signing some papers. She said you'd handle things eventually. It didn't sit right with me. 2 years ago. Long before the meltdown. Long before the refinance accidentally disappeared from every conversation." Another message followed. "I didn't want to worry you, but I think she was covering a personal debt. Be careful." My chest tightened, not with fear, but with recognition. Suddenly, every missing dollar, every unknown recipient, every defensive explosion from Linda snapped into focus. This wasn't chaos. It wasn't desperation. It was deliberate. I opened my laptop, pulled every bank statement, every transfer record, every loan document Gregory forged, every message, every receipt. I organized them with the precision of my day job, time-stamped, sorted, undeniable. Not because I planned to confront them again. Not because I wanted revenge in flames. But because pressure makes people reckless, and reckless people make stupid choices. If they tried to drag my name into anything legal, financial, or public, I'd be ready. For once, I wasn't the one scrambling to fix their mess. I was simply preparing for the fallout they created. And that's when I realized something. They thought cutting me out would make me weaker. They thought losing me as their provider would break me. They thought silence meant surrender. They were wrong. Because the truth is, they hadn't just lost their safety net. They'd armed the one person who finally knew how to dismantle their lies. And they had no idea what I was capable of now. If any part of my story feels familiar, if you've ever been the one holding your family together while they quietly tear you apart, just know this: you're not broken for walking away. You're brave for finally choosing yourself. Sometimes the only way to survive is to step back and let people face the damage they created. And trust me, a family that depends on your silence never lets go quietly. If you've ever felt like the outsider in your own home, hit subscribe. This story isn't over.